right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. This is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you live from the streets of Orange County, California, on a very nice morning under a marine layer and some low clouds that are burning off, giving way to some sunny skies today. Normal spring weather for this area for this time of the year. Not a chemtrail to be seen. They did enough of that yesterday, apparently. I want to talk to you about a story in the news today that is extremely interesting and almost laughable, ladies and gentlemen, but not in terms of its scope and ramifications. Apparently, NASA, the Hollywood pseudoscience, black magic, occultic, Luciferian, Masonic, rig job, taxpayer ripoff cartel that puts out green screens and computer-generated images to make cartoons for the grown-ups to believe we're flying through space on some sort of spinning ball, has stated that they are very displeased with India because India apparently blew up a supposed satellite with a missile and created all kinds of space junk that threatens the imaginary International Space Station, right? You know, one good laugh deserves another, but this ain't funny, folks, because what's being laid out here is the pretext for cyber attack that they're going to blame on. They're going to blame on Iran, or they're going to blame on Russia, or they're going to blame on a satellite malfunction that's been sabotaged. But look, folks, they've got all the possible scenarios scripted out, and they had the screenwriters on a pension already on these things. They already have the different narratives all planned out. And when you're told something in the news like this, it's not because it's, number one, real, but rather it fits into an intricately woven agenda, a carefully crafted plan, a quilt of different scenarios, if you will. That's right. You see, we are heading into what is called a perfect storm, folks. We've got a war hawk in the State Department. We've got a Trojan horse in the White House. And this country has become the modern-day Roman Empire, collapsing from within. As you can see, our infrastructure is in ruin. Look at the levees all through the Midwest, falling apart. They won't fund the fortification of the largest, tallest dam west of the Mississippi, the Orville Dam. They're literally letting our infrastructure crumble as we give billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in foreign aid to countries that are literally our enemies. And we're allowing countries that are literally our enemies to have backdoor access to all of our electronics and sensitive infrastructure. And they've got this Make America Great Again movement that is demanding we close the border, but the border has remained open, and we've got, for every avocado and a bottle of tequila that's flooded in here, we've probably got about 100 illegal aliens for each one of them. And so what they're going to do now is they're going to shut off the flow of food and keep all the illegals here. That's right. We've got a potential situation where our food supply is underwater in the Midwest. A good percentage of our grain silos and farmlands and pastures and livestock are submerged under a mixture of raw sewage, benzene, petroleum, flex fuel, and even the effluent from the tweak labs in all these trailers dotted all over the Midwestern United States with all of their highly volatile organic compounds and solvents they use to cook the tweak, right? This is a witch's brew of mud muck that has literally washed away the topsoil, seeping into people's wells. And they're training health professionals for a bird flu pandemic, which means they have plans to confiscate and destroy all the chickens in this country. So, you know, if all the cattle and livestock in the Midwest and all the grain that's required to feed them is eviscerated by this weather engineering weaponry flood, the next thing that they got to do is get rid of the chickens, right? And they're working on that. And then they've got this situation where they're telling us now we got space junk floating around, folks. Read between the lines. They're setting up the failure of some of the infrastructure that is linked up to all this computerization. Remember years ago when supposedly the satellite went down and nobody could get gas or buy groceries because the cash registers weren't working? Let me ask you a question. You know when you go to the store, you're in line, there's 20 people in line behind you because these big box retail stores have cut labor to the bone, and you're sitting there and you put your card in the reader and it takes a little longer than normal. And then you look at the thing, and then you look at the cashier looks at you, the cashier looks at his register, and he looks at you again, and you look down at that keypad again, and that little thing's still spinning, right? And then you're going, uh-oh. Did I pay my bill? Am I a victim of identity fraud? Did my son just buy a lifetime worth of video games on this card and not tell me and max me out? Or is the system going down? Either way, admit it, folks, there's a teeny bit of panic you feel. Do you realize that with this fake space junk, with this fake NASA, with all this fake crap, all they gotta do is shut something off and say, uh-oh. That's right. Those poor Indians, they blew up one of their Model Ts up there, and the water pump just went through the windshield, right? And so you can't buy or sell because that fake satellite supposedly runs all of the cash registers west of the Nile, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we're being set up for some very, very unstable times ahead here, because 40% of our imported fruits and vegetables come from Mexico, and Trump is threatening to close the border. And he's not going to deport all these illegals. They're still going to have to be fed. So we've got, 25 to 50 million illegal aliens in this country that are going to be in the bread lines with the rest of us. But yet we don't get the avocados or the tequila from their country anymore. But yet they're still here wanting the avocados and the tequila with the rest of us. We got a problem, folks. I spoke at length last night about being prepared. All right? I spoke last night about having storable food and water and guns and ammunition and batteries and flashlights and generators and medical supplies and water purification and power generation. Keep your tanks full of gasoline. Have propane tanks and be able to have an ability to heat and have firewood and blankets and Bibles and just stuff you need, folks, because you're gonna need it. Have some cash on hand. I'm not selling survival gear, folks. I just don't want everybody getting caught with their pants down. Literally, that's what's gonna happen, because now they're telling us that there's fake space junk up there that's gonna blow up the fake satellites, that's gonna knock out possibly things that run things, right? Even though everything's run from the ground, and these big fiber optic systems and these big point-to-point land-based communication systems are running stuff, and the big humongous stuff is being bounced off the dome. There are no satellites up there, folks. You think that space station is real? Are you kidding me? You watch too much Star Wars. You watch too much Battlestar Galactica. You watch too much Star Trek. You have been under the programming for far too long, ladies and gentlemen. What goes up must come down. The only thing up there is balloons and airplanes. I love the rockets and the space shuttles. They all go up and turn sideways. Yeah, go up 20 miles and hang a right. That's what they do. And then they just drop the guy, they drop the capsule off in the ocean, Or they fly the thing up and they land it in the desert somewhere, and the capsule just gets brought out on a fishing boat and just dumped in the ocean, right? And then they have the aircraft carrier show up with the president on it, going, "Oh yeah, we just landed from the moon," even though there's not a speck of space dust on the engine or the stands or anything. There's no blast crater when the LEM supposedly landed on the moon. The thing looks like it's made out. I showed my daughter a picture of the lamb that supposedly landed on the moon, right? She started laughing at me. She goes, Daddy, that thing is made out of aluminum foil and cardboard. That's what she told me. My 10-year-old daughter could see that the thing that supposedly landed on the moon is a total joke. The space program's a fraud, folks. Elon Musk is just a pot-smoking pimp who likes to scam everybody. You know, he's got some blow-up doll in orbit in his Tesla. Are you kidding me? Or whatever the thing is. You know, years ago, there was a guy that worked in office. And he used to get packages delivered to the office because his wife, he didn't want his wife seeing these packages, right? He didn't want this guy Pete, he didn't want his wife seeing what was in these boxes. And one time somebody opened one of these boxes and it was one of those dolls that Elon Musk put up in his Tesla, right? Oh, God help us. Folks, listen to me. Listen to me. Folks, listen to me. I'm not talking down to you. I'm just warning you because, you know, we're all grown-ups. We're all smart people, folks. That's why we're all on this. That's why we're all on this channel. Because only smart people watch this channel. Because most people can't handle the truth, and they go back to their little merry-go-round, you know, and their little cozy blankie, and, you know, whether it's Jim Beam or Jack Daniels or the Chronic, if it's Indica or what's the other stuff? You know, they got all these different blends at these shops, right? You know, it really broke my heart. Going down to Costa Mesa, going down to the beach, I take the 55 south, and years ago, I remember, you know, when my children were really little, my wife and I went into this baby furniture store. And it was this really neat building off the west side of the 55, just around Dyer. And I remember going in there, and there was cribs and, you know, strollers. And, you know, here I am, I had 4 children, right? I had I always had young children because they all kind of came right after each other. And so we were forever going through diapers and strollers and, you know, baby furniture and blankets and just cute stuff, right? That freaking baby furniture store is a marijuana dispensary now, folks. That's right. Yeah, it's got this humongous billboard next to it. So now that I'm taking my young children home from the beach, they go, Daddy, what's that? I'm all, oh, that's for the drug heads. Because let me tell you something, folks. You can't defend this psychotronic chronic now because it's not normal weed, okay? All right? And so they turn the baby furniture stores into marijuana dispensaries, and all these guys, they sit in a chair, right? They forget what they did with their lighter. They don't know where their sunglasses are, even though they're on their head, right? You know? And don't give me a hard time for knocking the dope heads, okay? Because you know what? I know who you are. You can't cut your grass. You can't get off your ass. But you can certainly pack that thing and keep sucking away and hacking like... Oh, that's good stuff, man. Oh, wow. Right? You know, I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh man, that's good stuff. Oh yeah. That's what they do. You know, they're hacking their lungs out, telling me how good it is. Guys, get a grip. You know, they're about to slaughter all the chickens. They're about to release a bird flu in this country. They're about to release a forced vaccination campaign. They're about to unleash epic proportion food rationing here. Okay? That's right. That's right. They're going to shut the border down. They're going to possibly get rid of all the chickens. I'm not kidding you, folks. I read my mail. And I may not talk to you all about it all the time. I got a bunch of brilliant people writing me really good stuff, folks. I was up really late last night reading it again. And by the way, PO Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. You read me books. You know, I got a series of books. One of them's called the Fustar Papers. It is amazing. And I'm going to be getting together with you. We're going to be hooking up. I'll put the code word out when it's time to meet. But this thing's still being digested like a white sea bass that I caught off of Todos Santos. All right. By the way, have you ever tasted fresh white sea bass? I mean, literally. You know, you're out of Ensenada, right? You're, you know, 15 miles out of Ensenada, and the water's full of sardines, and the pelicans are diving, and you're throwing an iron lure into a boil, and all of a sudden there's a 20-pound white sea bass that just takes the thing for a run, right? And you get this thing back to San Miguel at the campground, and you fillet it up, you get it on the barbecue, and you got the lemon going, and you got some Cuervo next to it with a little lime, and you're sitting there just watching the sunset, eating this fresh white sea bass that you just caught. You know, folks, it takes a while to really soak all that in and digest all that and enjoy that, but those were the kind of evenings I had growing up, being a young man and heading south of the border and taking my little boat with me and my buddies, and we'd go fishing and hook up and cook it up and go to sleep and just, you know, be human and be a man, right? Go out and hunt your food and cook it up, and oh yeah, right, I did it, right? No, but here's the thing, folks. Some things are so good they take so long to digest, and a lot of that is just like this information. And I remember the abalone too. When I was a young boy, they were down on the rocks, down at the wedge. We used to go down there at the minus tides, and you know, look, there's a lot of stuff, folks, that you just take in slowly. And a lot of the things that I bring up you need to take it in slowly. I want you to clearly understand this, folks. Okay? All of the marijuana that's being produced right now is, first of all, genetically modified, hybridized strains. Second of all, it's grown in, you know, basically coconut husks and sand. And it's being watered with chemical fertilizer slurry. And it's being grown under artificial, okay? Gone are the days like the hippies of my youth that had hair halfway down their backs, where they would literally create biochar in their backyard. They would literally burn wood, half burn the wood in the weeds and wet it and bury it, put it in the dirt, and make compost out of leaves, and they would grow 6-foot plants, right? Not this stuff. These plants are like, you know, 2 feet tall and 10 feet wide, right? And they break under the weight of the buds they produce. This stuff's not natural, okay? And I've seen enough people. I've seen enough people out there. It's not compatible with this, folks, okay? It's not compatible with this, okay? I want to tell you something about what we face, folks. You know, this space junk has gotten into your lungs, okay? The space junk has gotten into your lungs. You know, India supposedly shot down some satellite with a missile, and there's all this space junk floating around up there that's going to take down, they're saying it threatens this fake space station. Well, I mean, a fake satellite explosion could threaten a fake space station all day long. But here's the deal. You keep smoking that stuff, and you're going to believe the fake stuff is real. Because eventually, your vicarious existence through the bong and the television and your video games is going to become a reality, and you're not going to realize until it's too late that the shelves are empty and that the electricity is out and the ATM doesn't work, and you got a problem on your hands. All right? And I'm not telling you that you're going to go to hell for smoking pot. You're just going to smell like it, right? If you want to heal your body, don't be thinking that some magic herb with some. Have you seen the Black Magic fertilizer line that they sell at Home Depot for all you pot growers? What's it got? The serpent and the pyramid with the eyeball and the. I mean, what other kind of Illuminati symbolism can we put on the Black Magic fertilizer bag for the pot growers, right? Go ahead, smoke it! All right? You want to grow something in the dirt under the sunlight, go right ahead. But at least, you know, grow something that's natural, not in some pot in some closet under some, you know, Florex light. Come on. It's not good for you. And by the way, you'll know a tree by its fruit. You know, if you don't want to do anything, and if you haven't changed the oil in your car, and I know people who drove their car to where their rotors actually, their brake pads actually popped through the rotor cylinder. I mean, it's unbelievable how people that they're stoned all the time, they just push, and the only priority is to keep the buzz going, and everything else just falls apart, you know? Like, have you had your brakes go to the floor because you never changed the pads, and you just pop the you basically just let that diaphragm just pop out of your rotor all the way to the floor, folks. Out goes the fluid, right? Why do you think they've legalized all the weed now? Why do we have reefer madness all these years, right? Because now they've raised you on Space Invaders and Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars and all this fantasy land stuff. And now they've got you in an adult type fantasy land to dumb you down and control you. And I want to tell you something. I don't care. I've watched people over the years, even in my work environment, I've watched people who come back from lunch, their eyes are bloodshot, and it literally takes them 20 minutes to screw in a light bulb, folks. It's unbelievable. And they think they're working so hard, and they're working so efficient, and you watch them, and it's amusing. It's amusing. It's amusing that, it takes them 20 minutes to do something that takes like 2-3 minutes. And, some people I know, I kid you not, oh my gosh, what did I do with the lighter? Oh, where's my sunglasses? The guy's wearing his sunglasses, and he's looking for his sunglasses, right? He's looking for his lighter, it's in his hand, right? He forgot where he put his cigarettes in his pocket. Ladies and gentlemen, what in the world kind of advantage is that to anybody's life? Seriously. So anyway, yeah, that's enough of that. Look, clean it up, guys. We don't have time. There's a time and a place for a party, okay? And we don't have anything to party about right now, okay? We have to deal with reality, because we're in a situation where if we don't deal with this reality, it's going to bite us big time. But we're still out in front, ladies and gentlemen. The stores are stocked, the ATMs are working, everybody's got a little bit of dough. And go out there and make provision, because hard times are coming. That's right. And don't be caught unawares as they close the walls. And let me tell you something. This could happen tomorrow. They're telling you, all you MAGA guys, all you anti-legal alien people, that they're going to close the border, and you're going to go, get yourself a 12-pack and. All right, man, that's my boy Trump. He closed that border down, and he's protecting the U.S., right? Problem is, the mezcal's not going to come in. The Cuervo's not going to come in, and the avocados, and the cilantro, and the tomatillas, and the tomatoes, and the onions, and the potatoes, and the guayabas, and the melons, and the pepinos. Everything that we take for granted at the 99-cent store is grown in Mexico, folks. And so when he shuts the border down, and you good old boys with your big old monster trucks think it's some sort of victory, guess what? Guess what ends up happening? Stuff ain't going to be on the shelves in the store. Is that a victory, folks? Did it ever occur to you that Trump is setting up a trifecta? Any of you ever been to a horse race? You get three of them right, you hit the jackpot, right? Well, Trump's got a trifecta going, folks. He's got this country totally vulnerable to a cyber attack by moving us into 5G and all this Internet of Things nonsense. He's got the border ready to be sealed because he waited, 20 years to kick all these illegals out and stop the flow of all the child trafficking and all the cheap labor, right? And all the drugs and the guns and everything else. And now he's let the CDC, run around like a toga party up in the Hollywood Hills with a pile of cocaine in the back room on the table, literally going mad with their vaccine laws and the vaccine inventions and these disease outbreaks that they're staging and releasing and hyping up in the media. I mean, it's crazy, guys. I mean, the Trump administration is out of control. Do you realize right now we're in more... Okay, so the stock market's at 20-something thousand. So the casino's got lots of chips on the table. What difference does it make, folks? Don't you realize that most of those chips are going right back to the cashier? You think you're actually going to cash that money in? Because they're going to blow it out. They're going to blow it out. We've got a problem on our hands, folks, because we've got a crisis where we've become dependent on foreign produce, foreign fruits and vegetables, and we've become dependent upon exporting our grains and our beef to other countries. And now we're about to slam the door on the imported fruits and vegetables. And we have nothing to export unless we find a magic vacuum cleaner for the Midwest right now and run some sort of permafrost machine over the snow so it doesn't end up in spring runoff. So we got a country that's built its economic machine on subsidies not to plant your fields, sell your stuff abroad, make ethanol for cars and motor vehicles out of the grain, and stump all your avocado groves because you're worried about some smelt, and make yourself dependent on foreign countries for importation of produce and food. That is the bottom line. Wake up, folks. Get your hands on as much food and provisions as you can while you can. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is Joe Imbriano. You've had enough. I've had enough. I'm just warning you. You got to get with the program and get right with God. Get right with Jesus Christ. You know what you need to do. You know, I love the group The Fix. They were so prophetic, right? Red skies at night, and one thing leads to another. And, you know, here's the deal, folks. One thing does lead to another. You take one rip, and then you do one click, and it's all downhill from there. I'm telling you. All right? I'm telling you. A lot of you guys out there, I know, hey, I know a lot of my friends, you know, you guys need to just get out of that state of arrested development and just throw it down. And if you need some help, he's there for you. And he's always there for you, folks. You got to have lots of these, all right? You got to read them. You got to read them. You got to understand what it says. You don't have time to be getting high and drunk. You should be waking up. You need to be sober right now because we're in trouble. All right? All right? All right, class. You're dismissed. I'm just kidding. School's been out for summer for a long time, folks. Isn't that great? That's the one nice thing Alice Cooper did tell me, is he rang that bell for good. And I remember the day that I was done. Boy, I'll never forget that. Enough of the child abuse and indoctrination, right? Ladies and gentlemen, let's be real. Let's deal with the facts. Let's deal with reality. Reality is a tough pill to swallow, folks. That's why people don't want to deal with it. I'm here to tell you we don't have a choice. All right? We've got a situation on our hands where all roads are leading to the wrong place, and we're at the mercy of a logistical distribution system that is teetering in the balance right now, and they're starting to give off little warnings that it's about to come unglued. Okay? And you know, I get these comments that, oh, you got to trust in God. You know what? What the heck do you think I'm doing telling you all this truth? You think that you think I don't have faith? Most people are afraid. You know, I talk to people, would you like to come on the air? And no, I'm afraid. People don't want to show their face. They got fake names on these channels. They don't want to stick their neck out. They're afraid of the cops. They're afraid of this. They're afraid of their shadow. You know what, folks? I trust God. Why do you think I'm sitting here talking to you, exposing all this stuff? Why do you think if you go to the Fullerton Informer and WiFiDangers.com and CellTowerDangers.com and Disney666.com and NASAFraud.com and CERN666.com and VaxDangers.com, I mean, you think I'm afraid? I'm not afraid, folks. And I do trust God. I'll tell you who's afraid. All these crooked pastors that just want your money, they won't tell you anything. Faith is a beautiful thing, folks, but faith is not the substance of things that is seen. Faith is the substance of things that are not seen, folks, where you trust in what you can't see, knowing in your heart that you can control the things that you can see with your hands, because God gave you hands and a brain and a mouth and eyes and an ear to hear, folks. All right? You cannot tell me that I don't trust God because you think he's going to drop a bunch of chickens out of the sky? Are you freaking kidding me? We're not in exile in the desert, folks. Okay? That was an example. And he did it once for those guys, and they ended up throwing snakes at him because they didn't listen to him. They went and had orgies and had golden calves and all that stuff. And God says, fine, you don't trust me, here, eat the snakes. God doesn't want you being stupid. But everybody's stuck on stupid. You got to knock it off. I guess I can't please everybody, right? I guess I can't make everybody happy. But that's not what I'm here for, folks. I'm here to share with you the wisdom that God has imparted to me. And I do it for free. This channel is not monetized. You see the ads on these videos? I'm not in this for money. Do I sit here and ask you to send me money? No! I do this because you want to know something. When it hits the fan, I want everybody prepared so everyone's chances are better. I had someone tell me yesterday, hey Joe, don't do that because then then everybody will be going to the store buying everything and there won't be enough for us. I said, you idiot, that's the problem. I said, you think like everybody else. You are the problem. You want everybody prepared now so they won't have to scramble and panic and freak out and kill each other later. That's what this is all about, folks. It's not about getting ahead of everybody else and doing better than everybody else and having more than everybody else. That's not what it's about, folks. It's about being prepared, all of us. We cannot be effective and survive if we're not prepared. And that's why I told you guys yesterday, hey, read the book of Proverbs. Spend some time studying some wisdom. Everything that you're being fed is contrary to what the Bible says. Everything on the news, on the TV, it's all fear. It's all designed to make you afraid. I'm not here telling you to be afraid. Look, folks, we're all going to die. We're all going to get sick. Bad things are going to happen to all of us eventually. It's an inevitability. How do you think we get to the other side? We have to die. And in order for new life to begin, the corn plant has to die, and it has to, and the seed has to grow, right? In order for the corn to grow, the plant has to die, right? In order for new life to begin, the old life has to pass away. The Bible's clear. You know, this vessel is not eternal. The soul is. So don't be afraid. Be afraid of the real things to be afraid of, folks. Be afraid of falling into the hands of the living God and being found not on the right side of things. You know? And you know, you got these fear mongers out there. We know who they are. Making you afraid of everything. I'm not here to make you afraid. And by the way, the Fukushima problem, I've talked about this briefly, and I've done videos on it. But we hear about this Fukushima fallout. You see these pictures that are spreading across the ocean. And, it's just covering the whole world, right? Do you know how much radiation has reached Southern California from Fukushima? Well, I could tell you right now, I've got a nice radiation detector, and I pick up more radiation from my granite countertop than I do from Fukushima, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right. More fear porn from the same circus clowns out there. Don't listen to it. All right? Fukushima's a problem to Fukushima. And it's a problem if you're going to eat the seaweed and the fish from that area. But you know what, folks? Radiation sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and some of it gets in the air, but guess what? It's thousands of miles away, and there's a quadrillion gallons of water to dilute it. And the ocean in Southern California is still teeming with fish and life and birds and sardines and mackerel and bonita and barracuda. There's still plenty of fish, folks. Trust me. I was out on the rocks in October hooking up left and right, watching the birds jump and the fish jump, and just like it was 30, 40 years ago. No difference. As a matter of fact, some of the fishing I experienced last October in Newport Beach was the best fishing in over 36 years. Right? That's right. We haven't had fishing that good since 1983, ladies and gentlemen. I remember being out on those rocks one morning where there were so many fish, so many bonita boiling, so many big 5-10 pounders. And by the way, I have a 15-foot Ken core with a big Penn spinning reel, and I use a splasher and a fly, and I cast that thing 30, 40, 50 yards out, and you should see those things erupting on. There's nothing like hooking up a 10-pound bonita on a fly, all right? off the coast of Southern California with a 180-degree view of the coastline of Catalina Island and Dana Point, all the way to Point Fermin and Palos Verdes. And you know, folks, life is still worth living. It's not time to crawl up in a ball and suck your thumb and start crying and reverting to the cough syrup and the Robitussin bong, okay? All right? Right? It's not time for that. There's a time to work. There's a time to play. There's a time to plan. There's a time to relax. There's a time for all of that, folks. But there is no time for the television or the bong or the drugs or the bottle. There is time for God's word, for putting your hands to the plow, and for waking people up, and for making provision and staying productive. You know, a lot of people say, Joe, you never stop. You're always working. That's right. That's right. We don't have time to sit around and be idle and have our minds destroyed by the television programming and the vile filth that run the media. So don't give them any time to do so, folks. All right? All right, that's enough. I've had enough. You've had enough of me. That's why most of you are gone. I'm just kidding. Get the likes up. I'll put this out on the main channel. Thank you for joining me this morning. This is Joe Imbriano, PO Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. And Joe Imbriano 777 at gmail.com. And you know the sites, folks. And you know the drill. God bless all of you. God bless all of you. And one day at a time, folks. That's how we win this. And the ultimate answer to all of their machinations is no. And critical thinking is an absolute necessity and requirement to defeating these agendas. And you can't see clearly if you got scales on your eyes, folks. And there's a lot of different ways to have scales on your eyes. And the best way to clean those scales off your eyes is with the Holy Spirit and the shed blood of sinless Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. The one who paid it all. The one who has the power over death and hell. The one who was here before the foundations of the earth were laid. The one, ladies and gentlemen. The one who you need to get right with before you get left. All right? That's right, folks. Every one of you. You need to clean it up. We're all sinners. We've all fallen short. We all miss the mark all the time. But we don't live in the mire, folks. Because the mire's not for us. The mire's for the vile filth that seeks to subvert and destroy and pervert, folks. And that's not our gig, is it? All right, guys. Hasta lasagna! In Jesus' name we go. Amen.